All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back here to another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast. Of course, me myself as always, Sanders here. Got my guy Dupree here with me.
What's going on, baby? How we doing?
Man, I'm good, bro. I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? A string of emotions in 2 weeks, man. I went from the lowest of the lows,
Yeah.
highest of the highs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I already
For
know.
real, for real. On each side, man. For me. I had a real good sports weekend last week, bro. We had that Thursday night thriller. we had that Thursday night thriller last week in Atlanta. Man, dogs bounce back. Then we see the shocker, which we'll get into. With that, we saw two shockers, pretty much. A whole lot of shocks,
Yeah.
so pretty much.
Yeah,
But
a whole
man,
lot.
yeah, a whole lot. But we'll get into that, man, here soon. And then obviously a lot of off the field news that's going on too in the NFL, man. So I mean, and then of course we got everything that's been going on with all these with the two hurricanes, man. Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, man. It's
Yeah.
been crazy. You know what I'm saying? Hoping everybody out in Florida and in the Carolinas up the coast and the eastern part of Tennessee, man. Hope everybody is recovering well and can hopefully get back out on their feet, man. And I know it's gonna be a process, but hopefully everybody can kind of just get back on the right track with that, man. So number prayers and thoughts and wishes out for everybody in those areas that was affected by the past two hurricanes for sure. But man, yeah, we just gonna go ahead and get right into it, man. A lot of off the field news to cover here, especially in the NFL. The biggest thing that has happened this past week so far, the New York Jets firing Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
The Jets now 2-3 on the season after that loss in London to the Vikings, 23-17, and didn't really. I don't know about you, but I didn't really see this coming. I thought that the seat was starting to get a little hot
Mm-hmm.
just because of the expectations that's there for the Jets now. But um, I didn't think a fire would come so soon. But Robert Saleh, man, in the 4+ years that he was there, 20-36,
Mm-hmm.
no playoff appearance while in there in New York. Obviously, last year was kind of like a mulligan, it seemed like, just because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. A couple of years even prior to that, the defense kept them in a lot of games and had a decent record, man, but struggled towards the end to where they couldn't make the playoffs. And out of the guys that's kind of been coaching there for the Jets, a minimum of 40 games, he has the worst winning percentage um, out of everyone in franchise history. So the numbers wise, it didn't look like it was in his favor, but I feel like some of this was kind of unfair, and it looked like to me that they kind of made Salah the scapegoat. What do you think about it?
It's tough, man. Obviously, um, not hoping anybody lose their job. It's what you said though. I wasn't expecting it. Definitely was shocked. They played Sunday morning over in London, and maybe 24 hours after they kicked off here Eastern time, maybe 24 hours, they fired him. Um, Obviously, man, they had one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, up to this point, they had the second they were second in defense, excuse me, as far as yards per game. Oh, they were second in the league. So defense, and obviously he got the job because of his prowess on defense, being the defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers when they made that first Super Bowl run. Um, the defense wasn't the issue. The offense had not been performing. Um, and obviously you have, when Zach Wilson was there, that's tough. And then, like you said, last year, you ready to rock and roll with Aaron Rodgers, and he gets hurt within the first drive of his Jets career. So last year was tough, but the defense was still been playing well. Just offensively, the team had not um, been performing the way that a lot of us thought they would, for whatever reason. And apparently, there was some different things going on. Um, Apparently, he didn't want Nathaniel Hackett as the OC. Apparently, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers being there, he definitely had a say in Nathaniel Hackett being fired, amongst other things. But if now with the there being an interim and things, if things don't change offensively, if they still struggle on offense, was it really Robert Saleh, or was he really the guy that did they need to get rid of him, or are there some other changes made? That's the big deal. That's the big difference. And if they don't make a run, if they don't make a run in this playoffs, you don't know how many more years Aaron Rodgers is going to play coming off of the Achilles injury. If they don't make a run this year, was it Robert Saleh, or is it just the Aaron Rodgers project just didn't work out? How do you explain, what is the reasoning behind why the Jets don't do what a lot of people think they ought to do, or do what they're supposed to do, quote unquote. So, I don't know, man. I definitely was surprised the fact that, I mean, you're 5 games into having Aaron Rodgers as quarterback and you get fired. Um, they're very much in the thick of things in the division. They play the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football this upcoming week. Everything that they want to accomplish is still in front of them, and you let the man go. Um, you don't let him get halfway through the season before you fire him, with Aaron Rodgers. So that's tough. Uh, it sucks, but it's the nature of the beast, man. It's the nature of the coaching world. If you're not performing, if your team's not performing, all right, well, something's got to change. And the first thing they'll do, they'll get rid of the coach before they get rid of the quarterback. So there it is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's still a lot of, I mean, even a whole lot more shakeup with it, even more internally through there. I mean, because now we got the interim coach in now. Um, I want to say it's Jeff Ubrich.
Yeah,
They've demoted Nathaniel Hackett. He won't be calling plays now. It'll be Todd Downing. So who knows what happens? Like you said, I guess now we'll see. Come, especially this Monday, we'll come to see like, was this really
hmm
one to blame, or not blame? Was this really, Salah not really being a good coach and it just wasn't working right, or is there more things that's internally going on that's a bigger thing, and the head coach is unfortunately the one that you have to cut off,
hmm
because obviously it seems like it was, and I'm not, I don't know, I'm not trying to force hand or make it seem like it was that, but just the way it's going, it sounded like it was either Rodgers or Salah.
yeah.
I mean, who you
Who you
think
think they
they're gonna?
using? Yeah,
Who you think they gonna pick? Right? I mean, I don't know, and I kind of look at it like this, man. That offense is struggling. I don't, it's not clicking, and it's not like that they don't have the weapons, right? I mean,
hmm
you think there's Aaron Rodgers there, there's Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Brees Hall. It's a solid group that should be performing better than what they're performing.
yeah,
Um, I guess just a little off topic with it though, like, should we kind of question more of the performance that Rodgers is having right now? I mean, I know, get it. I know, granted, like it's coming off an Achilles injury, but it's just like,
yeah. But
it,
that's not a that's a fair question to ask, because he did not play well on Sunday. I mean, he threw 2 picks. He threw the pick six. He threw a pick going in to go score. Like, he did those things. You know what I'm saying? Um, and ultimately, man, it's as a coach, it falls. It's gonna fall on you. It's gonna fall on the coaching. It is. That's just the nature of the beast. That's what's going to happen. Having been in this profession, but I didn't go out there and throw those picks. I didn't go out. I didn't tell him to throw those picks. I didn't tell him to try to force that ball into whatever tight window he tried. All types of stuff. One of the picks that he threw, he was trying to fit a ball over a linebacker. You got a receiver running a crossing route. He was trying to fit the ball over the linebacker to the receiver running behind him, and he overshot it, and it hit the safety in the chest. Is like, I didn't tell him to do that. I've never played quarterback a day in my life, but I know you don't throw high over the middle. Bad things happen when you throw high over the middle of the football field as a quarterback. So just those type of things. But as a coach, like I said earlier, coach, those things fall on you. So that's what's that's what's going to happen. But Aaron Rodgers definitely, in a roundabout way, Aaron Rodgers' performance did not help the case to keep Robert Saleh because it's Aaron Rodgers. He's known as one of the best quarterbacks to play the position. A lot of people think that he is the best thrower of the ball that we've ever seen in the NFL. And even granted, with him coming off the Achilles injury, it's his Achilles, not his shoulder. So why is he not performing the way that we know him to perform? Well, it's got to be the coaching. Offensive performance, the head coach got to go. So it's a valid question. It's a valid question. But a lot of people aren't. You there is some blame to be had by Aaron Rodgers in the way that he hasn't performed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, this is they got a big one here Monday night, and they got a nice little stretch here
Mm-hmm.
of some opponents that they got to play, man. The Bills Monday night, next Sunday night against the Steelers on the road, another divisional game against New England, home game against Houston, Cardinals, all kind of right before I guess they get into um, the what I guess their bye week is probably a little bit before. Is it before or no? It's after the Jets play the Colts, I believe. So they got a good little stretch here of games before they can really see what's going on. And honestly, the way they look, and depending on how these opponents look, man, none of those are easy games. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to see what they'll do um, for themselves for sure. I mean, then now we're looking to a more AFC East news. Out there in Foxborough now, New England making the switch at the starting quarterback position. So they've now decided to bring in rookie quarterback Drake Maye. Uh, After now a 1-4 start, after they had that surprising upset week 1 win over the Bengals, they've lost 4 in a row. So now here comes Drake Maye coming in now, starting, and of course, first game starting, you got to play the Houston Texans. Granted, it's a home game, but still, that's a tough Houston Texan team. So now that makes the fourth quarterback from this rookie class to now start.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know there was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix.
Mm-hmm.
So now Drake Maye is the fourth quarterback of this rookie class to start. Um, but it looks like history is kind of on his side
Yeah.
as a New England Patriot. So this is the seventh quarterback that's going to make their rookie debut start or their first start here as a New England Patriot since the year 2000. Um, their record in those games for the other six quarterbacks 5-1 to start to play their first game. The only loss, Mac Jones, and that probably was rookie year when he probably played. Probably first game of the year. I don't know who they played, but so history's kind of on their side with that. But I think the team that Mac Jones inherited back in 2021 was a lot better roster
No doubt.
um, than the roster they have right now. So I get the changes too as well because they were only averaging like 12 points a game, so not really doing much. But do you think it was the right time to go ahead and make that switch for them, or is it just more so it couldn't get any worse from here? So I guess the only way was up.
Yeah. I think it is. It's Jacoby have been struggling. You're 1-4. you don't have a shot. In my opinion, you don't have a shot to win the division. You don't have a shot to make the playoffs. And if you're going to struggle throughout the year, why not struggle with the rookie? Let him go through his growing pains. Let him learn because next year is probably going to be his team anyways. He was probably going to be the starter next year anyway. So let's go ahead and get him some experience. Let's get him out there. We're going to go through some bumps and bruises. He's going to have some some high points. He's going to have some low points. We'll take the good with the bad. But let's go ahead and get him in there. And let's see what we got. We drafted him. We drafted him with number three
Yep.
overall pick.
Yep. Third overall. Yep.
Let's get him out there and let's see what happens. So I don't think it's a bad thing. Um, I actually think it's kind of smart on Coach Mayo's part to go ahead and get him in there and just let the young bull go out there and let him throw the rock around, man. Let him see what he's got. So it is a tough matchup to to open up with the Texans, but like I said, he was struggling with Jacoby Brissett. He was struggling, not really playing well. So the one thing I've learned since beginning to coach is I'll play the young guy over the older guy because I know I had this young guy for a little bit longer. So he might go through some growing pains and stuff, but I have a little bit longer. I got more time to mold him, to groom him, to teach him, and everything. So why not? Why not?
Yeah, he showed his flashes too. Albeit I know it was preseason, it might have been against twos and threes and
Mm-hmm.
other, rookie players or guys who wasn't even probably not even on the roster now. But I mean, even then, it just looked the offense for those few different series, like in the preseason, looked almost like night and day. It was like
Mm-hmm.
it was a struggle for Jacoby to get anything going, for Jacoby Brissett to get anything going, and it looked like at least with Drake and May, they had some type of rhythm
Yeah.
that they had and everything like that. So, albeit like we said, it's a tough opponent that they got, but I mean, even after that, I mean it's some winnable games right here on the
Yeah.
schedule. They go to London the following week to play the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Just talked about them playing the Jets. They got the Titans. Chicago's kind of starting to get it together, but there's
Yeah.
the Rams are sitting at 1-4. Possibly could have been 0-5, but they didn't have their comeback win against the 49ers.
Well, no,
So
yeah.
I mean, they got a good. They got a good. To me, I don't think I know a lot of people are kind of, as far as national media wise, it's kind of making it seem like it's a big deal. But I mean, in a way, I mean, once you hit 1-4, bro, the season's kind of pretty much lost. Especially how loaded the AFC is.
Yeah.
You hit 1-4, the season pretty much lost. You might as well go ahead and throw them in there now while it's still at least 50, 60 degrees in Foxborough before it hit
Mm. Yeah.
25, 30.
Boy, get like
So
that. Yeah.
so we might as well just go ahead and put them out there now while it's still the weather is somewhat gonna be whatever it's gonna be, and then who knows, man? They could probably string a couple of games just to get the confidence going. I think the playoffs is a long shot, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad move. He just got to, it's just a tough first game, but
Yeah.
it's the NFL. They're all really tough. So it's no matter what these teams' records are, they all pretty tough. You never know what can happen. So um, that's really that all for the off field news. It was pretty light this week, so we'll go ahead and get into these game predictions for the week. Man, week 6, got some pretty decent games here, man. Some
No
some good
doubt.
ones here on tap for sure. Um, And we'll go ahead and get right into it, man. First game on tap, we got the Washington Commanders going up the road to travel to the Baltimore Ravens. Who would have thought that we would be saying that this would be one of the the better games of the week to watch when we first saw the schedule? I mean, of course, after Baltimore had that 0-2 start, they've reeled off 3 in a row now, so they're pretty hot. And then same thing for the Commanders. After starting off the season 0-1, losing that first game to Tampa, they've won 4 in a row. Had some
Yeah.
big surprising wins that's
Mm-hmm.
got them going, man. Jaden Daniels look like he's the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now, for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're balling, but then of course, man, I think Baltimore they figured something out here, and I'll get to that in my predictions with it, man. But who you got in this one? It's a big matchup. In the DMV,
Yeah.
a little regional area, so not too many people have to go too far. It
Mm.
should be packed out there in MB&T Bank Stadium. It should be nice. And who you got in this one?
I'm taking Baltimore. I'm gonna take Baltimore. Um, One, because they're at home. I said Baltimore because they're at home, and you're at home with that defense. I think that they'll heat them up. They're gonna heat Jane Daniels up, give us some different looks, and that's a tough place to play as well. Playing in Baltimore, that's gonna be a tough place to play, tough environment. This is the first. I don't want to say it's the first true test. This is the first big game that Jane Daniels is gonna play in, and so when you have these type of games, and I say Jane Daniels, but also when's the last time the Washington franchise has been in a game that's been talked about as much as this one? It's been a while since the Washington franchise has been talked about this much in a particular week, especially this early in the week.
Yeah,
This is the most they've ever been talked about before. So, um, how do they handle that? How do they handle the pressure of success, the privilege of the pressure, because it is a privilege, because there's pressure for you to keep winning now. So how do you handle that pressure going into Baltimore, a team who has had success over the past 5 years, have won their division, have made runs in the playoffs, have made AFC championship games? How do they handle that going into Baltimore, facing Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, just on offense, Zay Flowers, um, those guys on offense, and then you got the guys on defense. All you guys on defense too, with Humphrey, with um, Mbakwe, and with I can't remember safety's name, but regardless, all the guys they have on defense. How do you handle that stuff?
Kyle Hamilton.
Hamilton,
Yeah,
Hamilton, yeah.
yeah,
So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? I think it's going to be a tight game. The spread is 6.5. I could definitely see it being in that one score range. But I tell you this: if they can't stop the run, it could get ugly. If they can't stop the run, meaning Washington, if they can't stop Baltimore's rushing attack, it could get ugly. So I'm going with Baltimore. I think it's going to be a good game. I think they're going to test Jaden Daniels. I think he's gonna perform. I don't think he's gonna play bad. I think he's gonna go out there and do his thing. But I like the experience of Baltimore and Lamar Jackson in these type of matchups. In these type of matchups, I like Lamar and the Ravens.
yeah. I look at how, like, and I don't mean to compare it to like last season, but I feel like every time that there was a big game for Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
um, they just, I
They
mean, they shattered opponents, right? Like I remember when we talked about that big game that they had coming up against Detroit when they were
mm-hmm.
kind of like how Washington was, right? Like, okay, let's see if you're legit or not. And like Baltimore shut all that down. I think they had
Mm-hmm.
another one where they had Miami, and it was like, okay, Miami, let's see if you for real. They shut all that down. Christmas, we come to the big game against the 49ers. Everybody thinking, oh, the 49ers going to be Super Bowl favorites. They got it. They got it. Shut all that down. I mean, so it's just like they've been doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it continues too. I'm going with Baltimore. I think it's just that they've been in numerous games like this before. This is not going to be anything new to them. It's not going to be foreign. Um, I think Washington makes it a game. I'm not sure if they end up losing big, it happens, but I don't think they will. I think it'll be a close game. I think they can stay. It's a chance that they could possibly stay within their spread, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Baltimore for the most part. Well, I mean, win or lose, man. When it's a big game, it seems like they get ready for them. They get ready for them, right? I mean, we're talking about you know we're talking about what a toe, a foot from
Yeah.
a 1-0 win. Whatever from that KC game. So that's that. Um, and I think Baltimore finally figured it out after those first couple of weeks, bro. And I've always said it, and I'll say it again. Just get about 22.
Let him do
I
his thing.
know, I know, I know. He's 30. Most running backs ain't supposed to be doing that no more once they hit it and he's getting older and everything like that. He should have. They didn't give it to him, but he should have had a 200-yard game
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. So it's just like, a couple weeks ago. Um, I just think they figured it out, bro. And then it's like once you think, oh, and because they're so balanced, once you think, oh, okay, sure, let's try to stop the run, let's stop the run game. Boom, here goes Zay Flowers popping out for 100 yards. Here goes Rashad Bateman getting some big catches. There goes Isaiah Likely for another 50 yards. So it's just like they're so balanced, man. And defensively, like you said, they got guys that can fly all over the place. Man, Kyle Hamilton is definitely making the mark as one of the probably top 5 safeties.
Mm-hmm.
Probably under the two guys in Atlanta and a couple others. I mean, but he's right up there in that conversation. You got to have him, man. And the pass rush that they have is
Yep.
saying Roquan Smith. I mean, they got guys at
Every
every
level.
level.
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey sometimes can get caught with the big plays, but
True.
so we'll see how that goes with him and Terry McLaurin. That's going to be interesting to see for sure. But I agree with you. I think JD will make his plays here and there, and I think they'll get some to keep it close. But I just think in the end, bro, it's gonna be too much Lamar,
Mm-hmm.
too much Derrick Henry, um, regardless of how it is, man, and they can beat them both ways. And I just think they just gonna get up for this one. It's gonna be a big game, and every time they get ready for a big game, man, they show up and show out. So I'm going with Baltimore.
Yep.
Then the next game we got here on tap, it's a big one. uh, Rematch from last season's game that was one of the more that had one of the more wild finishes ever
So,
in a game last season for sure. Same place, just a different day, but
mhm.
got the Detroit Lions going down to Dallas again to play the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's gonna be that late window on Fox, so it's probably gonna be the game of the week. Everybody's gonna be able to get a chance to sit there and watch it.
Yep.
Man, you got uh Detroit who's coming back strong, man. They've had a good showing the last couple of weeks, and then same thing for Dallas, man. They had a tough, gritty win last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Came down to the final drive,
Mm-hmm.
did it without Michael Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence, and still found a way to get it done, man. Who you got in this one?
I'm taking Detroit. I'm gonna take the Lions because of their run game and the Dallas Cowboys' inability to stop the run. I think that's where the Lions will take advantage. I think Jameer Gibbs and Dave Montgomery will go out there and they'll impose their will. They'll be able to run the football against this defense. Dallas has not shown the ability to stop the run. The Lions have one of the better O lines in the National Football League, and with the two backs I just mentioned, in Gibbs and Montgomery, I think those guys are going to have a day, and it won't be a repeat. It won't be a repeat of last year. They should have probably won that game last year and didn't. Michael Parsons is still out. Ron Bland, obviously, he's on IR. Eric Kendricks is out. Um, Nick Vigil, he's questionable. So you have a lot of guys on that defensive side of the ball for Dallas who are dealing with injuries right now. And when you're facing the offense like Detroit, who wants to be smashed them off and run the football, that's an issue. When you don't have Michael Parsons, who is he might be your best player on your team, probably is the best player on your team, definitely the best player on your defense, not out there with a couple linebackers missing. That's going to be tough. Also, too, this has nothing to do with the game. I'm picking Detroit. Picking Detroit. It is the four. It is the game of the week, the 4:25 game on Fox. Why is this not flexed to Sunday Night Football? Why is Cincinnati and the New York Giants Sunday Night Football? Now, granted, I like Joe Burrow and I like Jamar Chase. I like T. Higgins. I like watching Cincinnati because I like those guys. I like watching their offense. The defense must be desired, but I like watching Joe Burrow and those receivers do their thing and get busy. I don't want to watch Cincinnati play the Giants on Sunday Night Football. You could have flexed Wise in Baltimore and Washington. the Sunday Night Football game.
They
Why?
were trying to. They were. I saw a report. They were trying to get that Washington Baltimore game flexed to
Well,
the
I
Sunday night game, but
initially
apparently
when I saw,
somebody blocked it. I can't remember on
I
whose
say,
side.
initially when I saw there was the matchup, I was like, oh, that's got to be Sunday night. There's no like, that's probably gonna be the best game of the day. But I digress. I'm going with Detroit.
Touche, brother. Touche. So I don't know. I guess it's not. I don't know how soon they start working on the flex scheduling, but I feel like that should just be an option like after week 4. Like, like at this point we know I feel like we know what teams are good
That's
and
it.
what teams ain't. And
Like I'm surprised
as
the Falcons and the Panthers are playing at 425.
I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, okay,
Really? Like
not a 1 o'clock game. No.
this not a West Coast. Like this ain't nothing. Okay, whatever, cool.
All
But
right, hey,
yeah, so
that's neither here nor there. But I agree with you. I'm going with the Lions too.
hmm
I like you said, I just think that rushing attack that they got, and granted, the numbers are going to look skewed, so it's going to look like that the Cowboys have gotten better at
yeah,
stopping the run, but the Steelers' offensive line is still pretty bad. The Giants' offensive line is pretty bad, so it made them look like that they got better at running the football. But now this is a team in Detroit that's not going to be afraid to run it. I think there was one. I can't remember which game it was. I don't know if it was last week or a couple weeks ago where Jared Goff threw the ball like 14, 15 times.
yeah.
And I mean, he didn't have an incompletion, which was even better. But like,
I think it was eight. I think it was 18. Like 18 for 18.
yeah. So I mean,
That's the Monday
that
night
was that. But they ran the football,
straight like
you know. And I just think they're not gonna, especially now. They're still, like you said, there's still no Michael Parsons, still a whole bunch of other injuries that they're dealing with on that defensive side of the ball. Um, and albeit they did have that win last week, the Cowboys. Dak wasn't his best offensively.
no.
Um, So I don't know if they can have a repeat of having that type of performance again against a team like Detroit. And I just think also Detroit just gonna try to make sure that they don't even have a chance to possess the ball like that. I don't think they mind running it like that. And Jared Goff only throws it 18 times. I mean,
As long as it's effective, yeah. I,
yeah.
I
So
agree.
I just think, like you said, bro, that 2-headed monster with Gibbs and Montgomery is just, I mean, because at this point now it seems like anytime that Detroit gets down to the 5-yard line, that's just
It's
it's
automatic.
like automatic Montgomery or Gibbs touchdown.
Yeah.
You know, and the crazy thing about that is they really even hadn't got Amon St. Brown going like that. Like I know
So
the way they probably really want to. So it's gonna be scary. But I agree with you. I'm going with Detroit over Dallas as well. Then the final game on tap. We just talked about that team earlier. We got the New York Jets now. New coach. Coach is gone. Monday Night Football hosting against the Buffalo Bills, who, albeit, kind of fought back a little bit against Houston to kind of make it close, even though C.J. Stroud kind of helped them out a tad bit with
yeah.
it. But all in all, wasn't a great game for Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen only 9 for 30. I mean, and not much was talked about that. I feel like if there was any other quarterbacks, we would have had an issue about someone going 9 for 30. That's just not winning football. I mean,
No.
especially in the NFL, that just can't happen. But I mean, got a chance here to play against the Jets. Monday Night Football. We saw what happened the last time these two teams played on Monday Night Football last season. That was a crazy Week 1 game. So it's just see what happens with that, man. Who you got in this one?
And part of me wants to take the Jets, man. Part of me wants to take the Jets. They're at home with Monday night again against the same squad. But Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Probably wants to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to go out there and want to, even though they won that game last year, he's going to want to go out there and put on a show. And especially with this being a big game in the AFC East division, you got to think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play better than what he did this past Sunday. And like you said, Josh Allen did not have a good performance against Houston last week as well. So both quarterbacks are coming into this game kind of struggling and wanted to right the wrongs of their previous performance. I just don't know how the Jets respond to everything that's happened this week. I don't know. I think the defense is going to be fine. I have no question about the defense. I think the defense is going to go out there and do what they do, be the second best defense when it comes to yards per game in the league like they are. I think they're going to do their thing. And they always play Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, tough. I just don't know if I trust the Jets offense. So I'm going to roll with the Bills on the road. I'm going to take Buffalo.
Yeah, I had all of the thoughts too of wanting to say maybe the Jets can do it again. You
Mm,
know, it's a whole lot of talk. This is firing the coach in the middle of the season, regardless of whether you like it or not. It's a
mm-hmm.
big distraction. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah,
We're still trying to there's one side pointing the finger at another side, and everyone's just kind of all over the place and want to get themselves together. But there's still a whole game to prepare for.
yeah,
Um, and I think, like you said, they want to be excited. They want to show that we can be the team that everybody thinks that we're supposed to be. But I agree with you. I just offensively, I just don't know if the Jets can do it together in this short amount of time in 1 week to look like a whole totally different team, because there hasn't been too many flashes of it early in this season to say, oh, I remember when this game and they looked like this, and this, to say, well, we've seen it. It can be like that. It hadn't been too many of that, so I don't know if they can really do that. I think it's going to be a tough, gritty, low-scoring game. Probably the first to 17 or the first to 21.
okay.
But I think in the end, Buffalo does just enough to get the win over New York. Now I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets end up pulling it off, just because you know the NFL is like that.
Yeah,
And we kind of, the fact that we kind of have that feeling about it too, kind of feels like I don't think we will be surprised if that does happen. So
no,
I think for both of us, this is our least probably confident
no doubt.
pick
It's,
out of all the
yeah,
ones. And it's like you said, it's the divisional game, AFC East. A lot of times you gotta throw the records out the window, even if
yeah,
even if lately one team has dominated the other, or you want to say, man, that's little bro. You just never know. Sometimes, every now and again, little bro catch you off guard.
that's it.
So we just have to see with that. But I'm gonna go
Speak,
with the Bills as well. It's
speaking of little bros,
yeah, little bros this week. Little bros this week. But that's a classic trap game right there.
mm-hmm.
That is. Just I remember what happened the last time we played little bro.
I
It
was there.
wasn't good. Yeah, yeah.
I was in attendance.
It it wasn't a good look. So listen, handle, handle business, and
Eat your food, man.
yeah, don't play with it for sure.
Eat your food,
Eat your food. Don't
please.
play with it, please, man. But yeah, hey, a lot going on tap, man. For weeks, it's already week 6, which is crazy. So we're getting
Mm-hmm.
very, very close to the halfway point of the NFL season. I feel like it just started. So
No doubt.
uh, that's wild, man. But we're gonna go ahead and move on, man, to the college ranks. A wild, 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 crazy week 6 there in college football.
The week of little
Then
bros. That was the weekend of little bros.
yeah, for sure. That was the beginning of the little bros. Look, yeah, all the little bros was beating Big Brother for
For
sure
sure.
last week.
That's,
Yeah, they little bros finally got their lit back on a lot of stuff
man, gotta believe, boy.
for sure, man. But man, the fallout from week 6. I mean, I'll go ahead and run it down for you, man. We
Mm-hmm.
had 5 teams in the top 11 to get upset. First time since 2016 that happened, to where 5 teams in the top 11 get upset. We had top 5 teams upset, and we almost had 6 in the top 11 to get upset if it wasn't for that crazy comeback from Miami.
Yeah.
So so we saw USC, Michigan, Missouri, Tennessee, and Alabama all fall last week. And 4 of those teams lost to unranked opponents. The only team that didn't lose to an unranked opponent was Missouri, losing to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Man, this was the first time that we saw 2 top 5 SEC teams get upset in the same week.
It's crazy.
Both on the road.
Yeah.
UT, obviously Tennessee losing to Arkansas, and then Alabama out of all teams, Vanderbilt. And I mean, I'm right outside of Nashville, but that video went viral with them taking down the goalposts, taking it all the way down Broadway, and dumping it in the Cumberland River. I mean, we talking about a 3-mile walk holding a goalpost, and them goalposts ain't heavy. I mean, ain't light. Let me
No doubt.
So
that's a long way to go.
And that's a long way to go for those who, if you're not familiar with Nashville and where Vandy is and where in the Cumberland River, that's a long that's a long way to go for sure. So crazy week, man. Obviously the Bama loss to Vandy probably is what shook everybody the most, just because it had been 40 years since
Vanderbilt
beat Alabama. So this is just this. That's not even like a rare thing. That's just something that never
ever
happens. And I mean, you saw them go down 13, and you're like, okay, man, you know what's going on? Y'all need to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you kept seeing like Bama getting close, and you're like, okay, here it comes.
Yep.
They're about to survive the scare and go on to next week, but it never happened. You being a former player, bro, and you being like on those MTSU teams who got those upsets over those Power 5 teams, bro. What is that? What is that feeling like as the game is going on and you're noticing which obviously you never go into the game feel like, oh, as long as we just hang in there, because you're not really trying to go for more victories. Obviously, every time you play, you're wanting to try to come out with the dub. But what is it like as that underdog, unranked team? Whether the team that you're playing against is ranked or unranked, just don't even matter. Just you're the underdog in that game, and as everything is transpiring, you're seeing it like, okay, no, we legit got a shot here.
Yeah.
How is that, as far as mentally, to where you're not getting too high, and you're not looking past anybody, but you're like right there in the midst of like knowing, okay, we got an upset brewing here.
The big thing is always belief. You gotta first, before the game, you gotta believe that you can win. You gotta believe that you can win the game. That's first and foremost. If you don't believe you can win, you can pull off the upset, you're not going to. So first there has to be a belief in the locker room and in the team that you can pull the upset off. And then there's something that I didn't know I was as a player, but I now know as a coach, is sometimes when you're playing an inferior team, right? When you're playing an inferior team, the longer you let them hang around, the more the belief that belief turns into confidence. And belief is crazy to say that because belief is confidence, but there's always something in the back of the mind, like, all right, man, like, was what you said. Can we stick with these dudes? And the longer you continue to play the game, and you're like, oh no, we right here. We right here. And then it's like, oh, we got them. Then it's over. Because now, on the other side of it, if you're the team who is the favorite, the team that's supposed to win, the team that's supposed to blow out that opponent, now everybody on the sidelines looking at each other like, bro, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Like, it's like now you're trying not to show a sense of worry, panic, but is there because you're like, they won't go away. And that was the thing in watching the Alabama game. Um, this is what you said. There were a couple times like, oh, okay, here it comes. Like, okay, Bam made a play. All right, here it goes. But I was gonna say this as you were going. I was thinking this. Vanderbilt kept answering. They just kept answering. Every time Alabama got the game within a score, Vanderbilt will go down and answer. When they needed a play, they made a play, and that's what you have to do when you're trying to go for those upsets. It's very seldom are you going to blow a team out like that in an upset like that. Very seldom you're gonna blow them out. It's gonna be a back and forth type of game like it was this past weekend for Vanderbilt. But as the game wanes, backsides get tight, palms get sweaty, and there's a belief that on that sideline of that underdog is like, all right, like we got them, y'all. Like we like just keep going. The boy, they not everything they're not everything that we thought they were. They're not everything that everybody was making them out to be. Like they put on their pants and sharpen their pads just like everybody else. And we right here in it, just go finish it. And that's what they did. So that's the mentality, man. You gotta have belief within the team and you gotta go out there and you just gotta cut it loose and play ball. And when you do that, that confidence begins to brew. And then it turns into nervousness on the other side, and you can sense it. You can sense when you have a team at that point where they're like, okay, I have no clue what's happening right now. Um, so that one was that was yeah. I don't even know how to even explain that one. That was so. I never thought I'd see that. I never thought I'd see Alabama lose to Vanderbilt. Just being completely honest, like I'm not.
Yeah.
If you had told me they'd be Alabama before Saturday, I'll bet that. I ain't, what you want to put on that? What's up? What you want? So, shout out to Coach Lee, and everything, man. They play it. Now it's, can you keep it rolling? You go to Kentucky this week. So can you keep that? Can you keep that going? Was it a fluke? Or is it, this is what we doing? So shout out to Vanderbilt, man.
Yeah, man. I I had somebody that spoke to me a couple of days ago, just kind of still processing everything that
Hmm.
pretty much happened, and he was just like, the person was just like, man, that's just so rare to see that happen. But he was like, you kind of look at it and you figure like at this point now they kind of almost look like this is not the Vanderbilt that
Also true.
it's not the Vanderbilt that we're used to seeing like the past few years.
Yeah.
It's something about it, and I don't know if it's more so transfers or NIL or anything like that they want to put into it, but
Hmm.
I think there's something to where like you said there's something that maybe that Coach Lee is feeding the guys, and I think they're buying into it, and
No doubt.
they've been close. I mean, they've had some times where like they've lost some inexplicable games. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when they lost the ETSU, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like a close loss. It was like 24-3 or something like that. It
Yeah.
wasn't like it was that. So it's just like you can, but I don't know. You can kind of tell like it's something that he's like feeding the guys, and
Hmm.
they're honing it in, and they're like understanding, and it's just chopping the wood, bro. I mean, just simple as that, right? They're cutting everything down piece by piece, and I think they're just looking at it like, how can we keep getting better, like week by week, and not necessarily like you said, not to get so high after a win like this, to
Yeah.
remain focused and to understand the task at hand, because you know this Kentucky team they're playing is not going to be a slouch. They got a big upset win a couple weeks ago against Ole Miss, so now both of these teams now are probably feeling like we can do something here.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We can make a run here to find a way to to go bowling. I mean, Kentucky was probably expected to do that anyway. But now Vandy can think like a lot of people's thinking. Well, maybe it was only maybe three wins on the season, but they if they play like that, they can beat anybody.
Yeah.
you know. So
If you can will and deal like that, yeah.
and then having just having Bama lose like that, Tennessee losing like that. Now you're talking about next weekend, that third Saturday in October.
Do
That's
that.
essentially now. To put it in layman's terms, that's almost an elimination game. Just the fact that
Definitely.
at that point, whoever loses that is going to have two conference losses,
Mhm.
possibly. So
Yeah, it's that Tennessee loss didn't shock me. Fayetteville is not an easy place to play, and
and I don't think people realize that.
playing at Arkansas is not easy. And in Sam Pittman's time there, they've beaten some ranked teams there at home, and they've played a bunch of teams tough. This was, I'm not going to try to say his last name, but this was Nico's first true, real SEC road game. I know they played at Oklahoma, and I know it was game day and all that, but
That wasn't real SEC. Yeah,
yeah, Oklahoma ain't they
they ain't there yet.
they new to this.
Yeah,
That on Saturday night was real SEC road game environment in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and that defense stood up and they were not going at all. And it was back and forth, and I was just when Arkansas's quarterback went down, I was like, can they make one more? All they need is one. Can you
yeah,
make one drive? If you can get one drive out of this backup, you will win this football game because the defense is locking up everything. But I said it. I said it. I think I said it on here that I wanted to see what Nico would do at Oklahoma because that'd be his true, like his first true road test. Saturday night was his first true SEC road test, and obviously he's going to be good, and he'll get better, and he'll learn. But that did not shock me at all because I've seen Arkansas do that to others. I remember a couple years ago seeing Arkansas do that to Texas
yeah.
when Texas came to town. I remember seeing Arkansas do that to Texas A&M out in Arlington before a couple years ago. Like they play those type games. If you're a ranked team like that, you got to play Arkansas. Whether it be, especially on the road down there, I don't know. I don't know. So that one didn't shock me at all. I was actually, I mean, I'll say I don't like UT, so I was hoping Arkansas would pull it off, and they did. If Tennessee won, then okay, cool. I got them losing to Alabama next week anyway. But um, like I wanted Arkansas to win. Tennessee plays Florida this week. They're gonna give them that word. But yeah, so yeah, that one didn't surprise me as much. The Alabama one did. Um, Michigan, that one kind of did. They needed one more play. Just couldn't get it. Quarterback
Yeah.
throwing some interceptions. Um, USC, the Missouri one was. I mean,
I think that one was more like the way it looked. It was just
Missouri
like,
is just, oh my God. Every big play that Missouri got, it was getting called back for a penalty. And they just couldn't get out their own way. And Texas A&M, I mean, you talk about a blitz. They blitzed Missouri like none other. It was bad. It was bad. That Missouri loss was tough. And then who else? I said USC lost.
yeah, that was all of them. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So um, obviously Alabama was the shocker. Arkansas, Tennessee, I was not shocked. And then Missouri, it was the way. It
yeah,
was the way Missouri looked. I didn't think, and I picked Missouri to win that game. I didn't think that I was gonna think they would lose, but I didn't think they would lose like that. Like you turn the game off, like this. If you turn the game off or you watching amazement, like these boys getting drugged like that. So, like, and they getting that work, like
Man,
getting that work right now. So yeah, that was a tough one. If you're a Missouri fan, that's a tough game tough pill to swallow. Tough pill to swallow if you're a Missouri fan.
for sure. But man, now we get ready. We move on to next week. This week has been circled on a lot of people's calendars ever since schedules were out with all these new conference realignments and everything like that. And if you have a wedding to go to on Saturday, I feel so bad for
Uh,
you. Because it's a lot. It's a lot of great games this week, man. But just like last week, there could be some teams that's there that could be on upset alert. And who you got on upset alert this week?
um, as much as I don't want to put them on upset alert, because I don't think they are. Um, I'm going to put Penn State on upset alert. They got to be careful going down to the USC. I know they just lost this past weekend, but um, this has the writing on the wall of one of those games that Penn State probably should win, and they lay an egg. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think Penn State should be on upset alert. That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a tough one. Down there. Lincoln Riley's gonna have something. He's gonna have something. Those guys ready to play, and I think you'll have Miller Moss ready to play. So I'm putting Penn State, and then I'm gonna put Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, and then it's weird saying that because it's not Pittsburgh, it's Pitt. But I want to make sure I said Pittsburgh before. But Pitt is playing Cal Berkeley on Saturday. They are coming across the country, so Cal is making that fight over to Pitt to play the Panthers. But Cal is a good football team. They lost on the road to Florida State and had a chance to win it at the end in a tight ball game. They were at home, had a 25-point lead on Miami, who was a top 10 football team, and Cam Ward did what Cam Ward does, and yeah, exactly, sent them boys home. Um, so Cal is not a bad football team.
Yeah.
You're on the road in one environment, even though Florida State isn't great. That's still an environment down there at Doak Campbell that you have to play in, and then you play the number 8 team in the country at home, and you had a 25-point lead. Pittsburgh has to be careful because Cal is not going to go away, and I'm pretty sure they're ticked off about losing that game, and they're going to want to right the wrongs of last week. So Pitt and Penn State, the two Pennsylvania schools, I'm putting both of them. I'm putting both of them on upset alert. Even though I'm picking Penn State and Pitt to win those games, I'm putting those two squads on upset alert this week.
So the one team I got on upset alert, I don't think they will lose. Um, because I just one they can't afford to.
Okay.
But this is more so of a psyche thing here, and it's just because this team lately has their number. I'm putting Tennessee on upset alert.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't think they'll lose back to back. I don't think so because they
Okay.
can't afford it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at the last 10 meetings, Florida has won 8 out of the last 10.
Mm-hmm.
Since the millennium, since the year 2000, UT has only won 5 times.
Oh wow.
Okay,
Okay.
5 times.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's in Knoxville this year. I would definitely if this was in Gainesville again like it was last year, I would
I
definitely
would
be like,
put them.
oh
I
yeah,
would.
they in trouble because they
Yeah.
haven't won in Gainesville in a long time. They
Yeah.
haven't. I think 2000 or 2001 was the last time they won in Gainesville. They haven't won in Gainesville in a long time.
Yeah.
And I know during that run that was Urban Meyer and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that, and UT was going through the transition they had, so I get it.
But
But
regardless, yeah.
that's a long time for this supposed to be, one of these rivalries, man. So it's kind of almost the same thing like when we put A&M on upset alert. We figured they would probably find a way to win, but a rivalry game, a team that always plays you close. I mean, even the win that they had a couple years ago in Knoxville was a close one, and
Yeah.
they almost gave it away there. So I mean, we just never know. Can UT bounce back and have a great performance? I mean, I think they can. I think they will. I think the spread I last saw was at about 15.5 close to 16. I don't know. I think Florida can probably try to hang with them, that first half. But I'm just saying, if UT is struggling again, getting big plays and not looking like how they looked those first few weeks, and
Yeah.
but whoever may be a quarterback, I don't know whether if it's Graham or if it's gonna be DJ for Florida. I mean, because even last week against UCF, they look pretty good. I know it's UCF, but it's
Yeah.
just like you
It
can
looks.
kind of see some type of improvements there.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a rivalry game, and you just never know. You just never know.
I like that one because
I
I like that.
Yeah, and I
It,
and
it
I
makes
and I
sense.
and
It
I'm
makes
not trying
sense.
to
Though.
like, yeah, and
It makes sense.
and I'm not trying to like, throw dirt on UT like that,
No,
but
no,
it's
no, no.
just because I think even if they would have won last week, I probably still would have put them on upset alert this week just because it's like, okay, you got Florida, and then the next week you got the big one against Alabama. Are you looking ahead? You
Mm,
still could be looking ahead this week, so
yeah.
I don't know. I think they'll be focused though for it, but if I see them and it's like a kind of similar to what it was with Arkansas, where it's only 3-0 or 7-3, and then they just Heupel is not calling the plays like you would think that he could do, and the offense ain't looking as explosive like hey they had earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
You start to panic again because now it's just like, are we going to have to deal with this for another week, and then you come back and have to deal with Alabama?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one because it makes a lot of, like you said, that for all the struggles that Florida has had over the last couple of years, it's still like we're still gonna beat Tennessee. Like you can't really argue. Like what you gonna say is like touche, my brother, touche. Like,
The numbers are there, man. You
so
can't fault them.
yeah, so that's okay. I wasn't expecting that. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll see, man. A lot of good ball here coming up
Mm-hmm.
here. So, like we said, a big week of games, and all three games we got on tap have huge. I mean, standing implications, conference implications, playoff implications. This is the beginning now of what we about to see probably from here on out. Where I feel like it's just gonna be big game after big game after big game that's gonna decide who may end up hosting, who may end up having a bye week,
Mm-hmm.
for in the playoffs or having to host a playoff game or have to go on a road maybe to a playoff game or they don't make it at all. I mean, it's all of that is about to start going into effect now because we're like for real starting to get deep into
Mm-hmm.
conference play. Um, so of course, first game we got on tap here, it's a big one. Red River rivalry, Red River shootout. Um, these are one of those rivalries for sure where they say, you throw the record out, you got to throw the records out. I mean, it could really go either way. But we got number one team in the country, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
taking on number I believe are 18. Yeah, number
18.
18, Oklahoma, in Dallas. At the Cotton Bowl, you're gonna see it. Half that crowd is gonna be in burnt orange. Half the other crowd is gonna be in crimson. It's one of those rare games where a play happens and you can hear where one side goes, and the other side goes, just like every time. So it's It's crazy. Um, right in the afternoon there, Quinn Ewers is gonna be back. He's set to start, and Oklahoma is gonna be starting a true freshman. True freshman. I'm sorry, Michael Hawkins Jr. So interesting to see what happens there. Who you got in this one?
I'm taking Texas. I'm taking Texas, and I didn't put them on upset alert. But it's what you said.
Ah,
It's what
yeah.
you said, man.
I
Like,
didn't think about that either.
when's the last time Texas beat Oklahoma?
It was a couple years ago when they got him.
But that's my point. Like,
But like you said,
Texas has been
it's funny because the last 6 times that they played each other, Texas have only won once.
like, and Texas has had probably the better team 4 out of those 6 times. Were ranked higher 4 out of 6 times, and Oklahoma has found a way to win.
Every time.
So it's it's tough because that's a trap game too for Texas. Because who you have coming to town the week after?
Georgia.
You have
Yeah.
Georgia coming to town
Yeah.
the week after, and there's no way there's no way Texas could be looking ahead. There's absolutely no way you could be looking past Oklahoma. A true, I mean, just true rival. Probably outside for Texas, outside of Texas A&M, and for Oklahoma, outside of Oklahoma State. This
This
is
is
your
the yeah.
biggest rival, and
Yeah.
probably for both of them, regardless of A&M or Oklahoma State, this is your biggest rival. So there's no way
Yeah.
you could be looking ahead at all. But Texas is not safe tomorrow. Texas is not safe tomorrow.
That's all we're saying.
They're not. And Quinn Ewers being back, that's great for Oklahoma. Starting true freshman, it's gonna be tough. But you just never know. You just never know. That freshman might go out there and start dealing. so, so I'm picking Texas. I think it's gonna be it's 15 and a half. Oh, it's 15. I can see it. I can see Oklahoma covering. I could see it being closer than that. Um, I'm gonna take Texas though. I'm gonna take Texas. I think they have the better team. I think they have the better roster, top to bottom. Oklahoma's missing their best defensive player. He got hurt a couple weeks ago in the Tennessee game. So I'm gonna roll with Texas, but show up. You show up. This is one of those while we're talking about upsets. You got to go get them out the game early. Get them out the game early. Don't don't give them a chance. Don't let them get confident. Get them out the game early. Let them know it's it. All right, that's it now. Okay, it's 35-7. All right, that's it. That's the ball game. Get them out early, so you got to worry about it. Um, so yeah, I'm going Texas.
I'm taking Texas, but I'm like you. I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I think they should handle them
Yes.
and they should beat them. But like we've been saying, I mean, this is a rivalry game. This is just one of the ones like for real. You got to throw the record out the window. You got to
Mm-hmm.
throw. Don't matter how bad Oklahoma really hadn't been, or how bad Oklahoma has looked the past couple of weeks, or whatever they've been doing, right? But you just never know. I mean, like you said, bro, there was a couple of those games where Texas was up 2 scores. And I ain't talking about like they was up like 3 point. Like we're talking about up 2 scores, and Oklahoma finds a way to win the game. Last year I think Texas was up in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They got stopped a couple times in the goal line, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Oklahoma walked them down on the final drive.
They did. They for 4 downs and got stuffed. And yes, a walk off touchdown with I think it was less than 10 seconds left on the clock.
So I mean, it's there the psyche of it to where sure Texas is a better team. They got the better roster. I mean, number one team in the nation. They should coming off I think they had a bye week. I don't know if they even played last week. I think they had a bye week last week.
Mm-hmm.
So should be well rested, right? The makings is there for them to where they should have this, but it's also just it's a classic trap game. Even with
Yeah.
the rivalry, it's just a classic trap game because it's just like they got the big one down in Austin next week against Georgia. So it's just like, are they looking ahead? I hope they're not.
No.
I hope they not because, like you said, yeah,
If
it's a true freshman that's playing, but he can mess around and look like Caleb Williams out there on them or
if
something.
they lose to Oklahoma tomorrow, they're losing to Georgia next week. You can book it. I said it first. They lose tomorrow, it's over. Georgia's gonna come in there and give them a whole lot. So
Yeah,
they best be careful.
yeah. So I'm with you. I'm taking Texas, but I'm nervous for them boys. You know, I'm for real. I'm nervous for them boys because anything can happen for sure. Man, next game on tap, another big one in the SEC. Um, we got number 9 Ole Miss heading down to Death
Mhm.
Valley playing number 13 LSU.
Yep.
Man, two of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. We got Jackson Dart going up against Garrett Nussmeier. Um, two offenses who, you know, when they find their groove, there's some very explosive offenses. I mean, they had I think the game last year was a 56-48 or something like that. It was a big high scoring game last year between these two teams. Um, who you got in this one?
The loss of Harold Perkins for LSU is tough on the defensive side of the ball. That's a tough loss. Um, Especially going up against an offense like this where you need players like that to be able who can make plays, who can get to the quarterback, who can cause turnovers, who's playmakers and find ways to be around the football. Obviously, Ole Miss they got the dub against South Carolina last weekend, 27-3. The defense looked solid. Offensively, they kind of got back on track. Didn't look great, but they got back on track and were able to get the job done. I think that LSU's offensive line is better than South Carolina's offensive line, and I think that the playmakers for LSU on the offense side of the ball, those receivers, paired with Garrett Nussmeier, I think they make more plays and they score touchdowns. But I'm really picking this game because it's LSU, Ole Miss, it's at LSU, and it's at 7:30. And you said earlier when we were talking about Arkansas and it being the first true road test, SEC road test. This game, if you ever want to see a rabid fan base, look no further
Exhibit A
than Death Valley at night.
at night.
That place is going to be bananas. So with that, with them playing at home at night, and the this past weekend for Ole Miss was a true road test for Jackson Dart, but the crowd was taken out of the game because South Carolina gave them nothing to cheer for. That ain't gonna be the case on Saturday night. That's not gonna be the case on Saturday night. They're gonna be yelling and screaming all night long. So I'm taking LSU. I'm taking LSU at night, at home, in front of that crowd. I think they find a way to get it done. So give me the Tigers.
If the game was in Oxford, I might have would have sided with Ole Miss. But that was the difference for me too. It's a night game in Death Valley. I just it's so rare for LSU to lose
Mm-hmm.
a night game in Death Valley. It's to me, I feel like it's not too many times I've seen it happen, and
Yeah,
I feel like the only time it does is whenever they play Alabama.
Alabama.
I just
Yeah.
so so I'm just like I I don't know too many times where I've seen them play a night game in Death Valley and they don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the game gonna be kind of similar to last year. I think it's gonna be. You know, I don't know if it's gonna be that high scoring, but I
Yeah.
think it'll be some points put up on the board. Um, both teams can light it up. I think Ole Miss are missing some guys on the defensive side of the ball
Yeah,
as
that will be.
well. So both teams kind of missing guys defensively. Um,
See?
Ole Miss is rebounding back. LSU has looked well ever since that opening week loss to USC. They've starting to come back now, so um, I think it's going to be a lot of points put up on the board. I don't know if it'll hit I don't know if both teams will get over 40, but I could see a classic, 35-31 type of game or something like that where you see a decent amount of points put up on the board.
Yeah.
Um, but the fact that it's Death Valley night game, I'm rolling on LSU too. I can't. I don't know. I haven't really seen them ever hardly lose a night
Yeah.
game in Death Valley like that. So I'm going with LSU too. Um, and then finally, man, the biggest game of the week for sure. I mean, the biggest.
The biggest.
Um, possibly this possibly is round one, maybe
Mm-hmm.
between these two teams. We got number 3, Ohio State, making their cross country trip just like Penn State has to do. Ohio State is making their cross country trip
Number
around
2.
number 2. Ohio State's number 2. Sorry, I'm getting them backwards. Ohio State's number 2. Let me give them the correct ranking for Eli. Don't hey. My fault. Number two, my fault. Number 2, Ohio State going cross country to Eugene to play third ranked Oregon. Uh, like we said, man, we had this one circled on the calendar. Once we saw the schedule come out, we knew even back in July that this was a big one.
No doubt.
We kind of figured that maybe both teams would be undefeated at this point, getting to the point of this one, and this could potentially be just the first of maybe 2 matchups, depending on what happens the rest of the year in the Big Ten. We never know. There's a lot of teams that still has a lot to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, big test. I mean, not the first time that these teams have played each other.
Nope.
I think was it just a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah. In
Oregon
22,
traveled up to Columbus and beat a young C.J. Stroud up there in Columbus, and Oregon pulled off that big win. And they did it without Kayvon Thibodeau. There was no Thibodeau that game. So now we got a big one here in Eugene, man. Who you got in this one?
I went back and forth on this game. Um, I, it's almost I almost don't trust either either team in big games like this due to history. Recent history, neither team has really performed great in matchups like this and big time matchups like this in the regular season or just in general, really. Um, you've had, Oregon, they've had their woes. Last year it was Washington. A couple years ago it was Utah, who kept stepping in their way. Obviously, Ohio State, we know, has been Michigan. Michigan has been the thorn in the side of Ohio State of the past couple years. I picked at the beginning of the season. I picked Oregon to win the Big Ten, but I picked Ohio State to win this game this Saturday. I think Ohio State's going to win on Saturday tomorrow, and Oregon will find a way to get them in the Big Ten championship. The reason why I'm picking Ohio State is because I think the defense is much improved. Team, you can look at the Iowa game and the score and see how it started, but people have to realize that Iowa is always defensively one of the best teams in the Big Ten, and sometimes, a lot of times, in the country. And they always play you. Iowa in the Big Ten is one of those teams that you do not want to play. You don't want to play them because it is a old school smash mouth type of game because of the style of defense that they play. They're always going to have good defense. My worry is Ohio State really hasn't played anybody with an explosive offense. They have not played anybody like that up until this point, which what they'll do tomorrow. So that part worries me a little bit with Ohio State. But I'm picking this game because of a couple weeks ago, them having a barn burner against Oregon State, but even this Oregon, but even before that, what Boise State and that running attack did to Oregon. If and my man's, and I don't want to butcher his name. Let me get him right. Let me get him right. I'm sorry, but if Boise State and they're ranked 17 now, and I believe his name was Ashton. That's it, Ashton Genetic. L Genie. I don't know how to Genity. I don't know. Ashton. Big A. Whatever you want to call the man.
For sure.
Whatever you want to call him. If he's a baller, and he is a baller. He had 3 touchdowns, 190 yards against Oregon. What's Travion Smith and Krishan Junkins going to do on Saturday? If Boise State and that running attack was able to do that to Oregon, I find it hard to believe that Henderson and Junkins can't go out there and have a similar performance together, along with Emeka Ibuka, along with Jeremiah Smith, who is ridiculous. I just think that that running attack for Ohio State is going to be too much. So I'm taking Ohio State on the road. I'm going to take Ohio State to win this game. Um, and to be honest with you, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think it might be a blowout.
Mm.
I think it might be a blowout. I think Ohio State get up, and I think they might pull away. I wouldn't be shocked. It would not shock me at all. I think it's going to be a blowout. So I'm taking Ohio State.
Yeah, I was back and forth on this one too. Um, I mean, like you mentioned about Ohio State defense, vastly improved, and I mean this game is pretty much, man. It's your classic. I mean, for those who care, there's a big boxing match tomorrow night too. You know, and styles make fights, and this feels just like this. You got Ohio State's defense,
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's offense. So it's a strength on strength. That's what basically drive both of these teams. I mean, now obviously Ohio State has their weapons offensively too, and Oregon is no slouch on defense. But the strength of each of those teams, respectively, is their other opposite sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Um, and it's going to be a big test for both these teams. I mean, I know uh, I know Oregon had their close one with Oregon State just because that's a rivalry game. You just
Mm-hmm.
never know. I know Boise had them on the ropes for a bit. Um, and yes, I know we know Ohio State hasn't played anybody to this type of competition just yet. Far as explosiveness, they hadn't found like an explosive offense that they've had to play yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way you feel about Ohio State winning this one, but Oregon winning the Big Ten. I'm the opposite. I think just because the game is in Eugene, that's going to factor in. I mean, Ohio State have had road tests before, and they've passed before and everything like that. Um, but we have seen them in games like against Purdue, against a couple other teams where it's like they don't look their best on the road.
Yeah.
Um, and I from first true road test for them for sure in Eugene. I think the crowd's gonna be rocking. Um, and I like Oregon tomorrow. I like Oregon. I think Oregon gets this one, and I picked Ohio State to win the Big Ten. So I think Oregon gets round one, and if it's possible, because like I said, there's still another team out there that may have something to say
No doubt.
in the Big Ten. Um, if it ends up to where it's a possible round two between these two teams, then I think that's where Ohio State gets it. But for this one, I'm going with Oregon.
Okay.
I think the fact that it's at home, they'll find a way to get those explosive plays that they have normally been getting. And just because in the fact that even if they do maybe get down against Ohio State, the fact that they've kind of already been tested a bit with Boise, with Oregon State, we know how possibly
Yeah.
they can respond. We haven't seen yet Ohio State really have somebody to fight fire with them,
Yeah.
maybe get them down, and how do they respond? They're capable of doing it. So it's not like, we don't think that I don't think that they are, but it's just gonna be interesting to see. So I'm gonna go with the Ducks. I'm gonna roll with Oregon
Okay.
uh to get the win over Ohio State. All right, so we in the clear. Cause I was getting a little worried.
We were going for a minute.
we were we
We were
was
going for a
we,
minute.
we was going for a minute.
And all this, like, oh Lord, we picking on the same teams, but here it go.
Yeah.
A 2-4 record on the weekend. There it is.
Man, there it is. But like somebody, well, I hope not. We was like, man, somebody gonna let us down.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Exactly.
uh, but man, as we get ready to wrap up another episode, man, anything you want to say out here to the people?
Man, just continue to be safe, continue to stay healthy. Season is changing. I don't know how it is in Tennessee, but the season is changing out here in North Carolina. So, dress accordingly, all that stuff. Enjoy the change of the season too, man. It's winter to spring is a little different. That summer to fall, man. I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. It's a little different. It's a little different, man. So enjoy it. As we're in October now, so a couple more months left in 2024. So I've been saying it all year, but you still have time to accomplish the goals and the things that you want to accomplish at the beginning of the year. Um, just hone in on them, focus on them, and they can be achieved. But continue to stay safe, talk to your loved ones, and we appreciate the support. Appreciate the support, man. We'll be back here another week. Be back next week with another episode.
For sure, yeah. Same for me, man. Y'all protect yourself out here. Stay safe. You right. Out this way, it's been pretty. It's been very fall like for sure. It's been
Yeah.
cool in the mornings. Then it starts to warm up, and it's like, but it's not too hot. It's like real nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, I would say, man, if y'all don't have any major plans, man, take the time out to enjoy this weather. Go for a brisk little walk or something like that, man, just to enjoy nature, because it's gonna be a nice little weekend for sure.
Yeah.
And then when you get the time to, of course, man, sit down and watch some balls. It's gonna be some
No.
crazy one. Like if you're into boxing, there's a big light heavyweight unification
Mm-hmm.
bout going on between Dimitri Bivol and Arthur Benavides.
Yep.
Um,
Tomorrow.
so that's gonna be a good one right there if you tune into that. Um, a, a, a good week 6 games of the NFL too, man. That's on tap.
Mm-hmm.
As teams are starting to build up some more and separate themselves as the season go along, man. So that's gonna be nice. But yeah, man, protect yourselves out here. Stay safe out here. Enjoy yourselves, man. It's homecoming season down here in Nashville. TSU homecoming this weekend. So man, y'all be safe out there in
Please
those
be safe,
Nashville
man.
streets.
Yeah.
Y'all be safe out there in those Nashville streets, man, for sure. Uh, Man, love black women, cherish black women, protect black women. No means no.
No means no.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? If no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's really it on that. Man, we definitely appreciate the love and the support on the podcast. Continue to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all the social medias, man. We appreciate the feedback. We love the interactions, and we just appreciate all the support that we get from you guys. The ones that we see, and sometimes even the ones that maybe we don't see. We definitely appreciate it. Man, happy early birthday to the young goat. She'll be turning 4 of them
The
things.
big four. Time going
But
fast, man.
man, it need to just a little bit,
It's going by fast.
just a little bit, man. But yeah,
Turn
man,
four.
happy early birthday to my young one, man, Naomi, man. This
Go.
it's been fun. It is fun
Yeah.
being your dad because you something else. You know, I don't appreciate you kicking me and your mama out of the classroom every morning we take you to school, but um, other than
Tell
that,
y'all to go.
we yeah, she kick us out, bro. I'm talking about like quick hug and quick smooch, and she closing the door like,
Like, all right. I
yeah,
stop.
y'all gotta go. I'm like, dang, I thought that's supposed to happen like in middle school, high school. You know, like you doing this preschool.
Yes.
Well, leave. All right, but hey, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, happy early birthday to my little man for sure. Uh, man, other than that, yeah, that's really all I got, man. Until the next time, this has been another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast.
Peace.